everyone. We're back for a third episode. I bet you didn't think we'd be back here for a third one. You know, that we'd actually tap out, especially after my rant on Jurassic World.
Yeah.
But we survived. And here we are again, guys. Look, we're actually get stubborn enough to stick around for 3.
We'll see how long before you're driven off the internet completely.
Yeah. See how long your reign of terror lasts.
It is a reign of terror. Yes. I am quite intimidating after all. Not at all. Not really.
Yeah, but after telling everyone how much you hate Deadpool and everything about this new movie coming out,
we'll get to 2016 and whether or not I hate Deadpool. But first, I just want to go over a couple of things that have been big movie announcements fairly recently.
Yeah.
And both of them came from the LucasFilm camp, and I guess I will go with the Indiana Jones one first. So, we knew that when Disney bought Lucasfilm, that did include the rights to Indiana Jones. It included the rights that they had to everything, basically. But we didn't necessarily know what their plans were. And they did officially say that they were going to release a, it's in discussion, but not necessarily any practical plan yet. But it is definitely on their to-do list, is to put another movie out.
Anything at all about reboot or remake?
No, which scares me that they wouldn't just come out and say reboot straight off the bat, because I am not for a 5th Harrison Ford Indiana Jones. Like, I don't want them to pick it up and have Shia LaBeouf or I don't want him to be the new Indy. No.
I think the 4th Indiana Jones just needs to die in a hole somewhere. And just...
It's not canon. We don't recognize
him. Aliens.
But no, I guess I should test you before we tip our hands too much. But like, what do you guys feel about an Indiana Jones movie at all being done? Like, as far as a sequel or a reboot, and if you have to choose between one or the other, let's just pretend that someone has a gun to your head and says, I'm gonna make an indie movie. It's either going to be a 5th installment or a reboot. Which one would you choose?
Well, I mean, they could go one of 3 different ways. They could go reboot the franchise completely, remake, which I don't know if I would want that either. I don't know, or definitely I wouldn't want a continuance, because.
Yeah.
I mean, the fourth one was just so heartbreakingly terrible that like you wouldn't want to see a continuance of that. I mean, it was so stupid, and I was not a fan of even the acting or the actors in it necessarily. I actually used to like Shia LaBeouf back in his like Disney Channel days or whatever.
his pre-Transformer days.
I think Transformers I think it kind of ruined him. I don't know. Now he just seems like he's kind of a douche. I don't know. But, I definitely don't want to see a continuance. I guess, if anything, I would want to see, like, a reboot with a completely new Indiana Jones character. Somebody playing Indiana Jones. Obviously, it's not going to be Harrison Ford. But, yeah, like a...
So just something completely new, like new adventures, new everything.
I think at this point you almost have to go that route, because, like in the last episode you said you don't really care if somebody like remakes a movie or whatever, but
yeah,
I don't know if I could get behind a remake of Indiana Jones. I think if they're gonna do anything, that would be a better route for them just to reboot the whole thing.
Yeah.
Should it be in the modern day? If they're going to reboot it, does it have to be in the 30s?
Yeah, what's your ideal take? Like, would you want it to be back in the Nazi era? He's fighting Nazis, or...
Or we past those days?
That would be refreshing compared to the 4th one, but...
where he's taking on communists.
Yeah, that was... just everything about that movie was wrong. I don't know. Once again, it's just like you can't really like figure that out until they present it to you and you either like it or you don't. I don't know. Present day. I don't think that works in present day. How does Indiana Jones work in present day?
Yeah, like you're right.
That's like he's like a he's like a cowboy almost, kind of in a certain respect. Like it wouldn't work. And
Yeah, I could never see Indiana Jones picking up a cell phone to give someone a call or something.
If anything, like honestly, a present day Indiana Jones movie, a reboot, would be a comedy, and it would be about him. Trying to figure out all the newfangled technologies. Like it would be, what they're probably gonna do is have Indiana Jones somehow come to the future from the past, and he's just gonna be whipping things.
It's gonna be a fish out of water story.
The one scene they're gonna have to put in the movie is him using his whip to get a cell phone out of someone's hand or something, and then use it to like. Call 911, I don't know.
No, he'd get it and he wouldn't know what to do with it. He'd just look at it.
What is this newfangled device?
I gotta use this thing.
It must be the Germans!
The Nazis, I hate those guys.
Junior! Sean Connery's just in there somewhere. Sean Connery's in like a rest home now. Rename the dog Indiana. That's all he knows how to say anymore.
It's
just rambling
over and over again.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
Ben,
no,
I don't know. No, I don't even know. I'm just rambling about nothingness.
No, so what do you think then?
I'm neither opposed to nor for. I mean, it's if they go for that, I had to see what they're gonna do with it.
Would you be for an Indy 5?
That's another one I had to see what they're gonna do with it. I mean,
So you'd be for Harrison Ford possibly
you'd be for
coming
a
back, Shia
continuance?
LaBeouf?
well, let me put it this way. When they were doing the same with Rocky, I said, there's no way Rocky Balboa is going to be decent. And then it actually kind of worked.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
I did.
So
It was fun.
it's one of those things I kind of would have to know where they're going with it. But obviously, I would not expect it to be any good. So if I had a
And it would almost have to be a situation, if I'm following you on this, where they almost ignore a lot of their own recent history. Like Rocky Balboa, it ignored 4 and 5 largely. It really
for the
didn't
most
pay a
part,
lot of attention to those, and kind of came back to its roots. Where, I think Indiana Jones has to do the same thing if they did a 5th installment, and kind of just be like. I would say, I guess, bring Harrison Ford back.
Well, that's the thing. If you're going to compare it to Rocky Balboa, you're talking about a Harrison Ford-driven new 5th installment of Indiana Jones, and I don't. As much as I want to see the guy in the new Star Wars movie, I don't think I want to see him running around with a whip.
And let's face it, I think in Star Wars he works because, you can craft him into like a side role, but like this would be a starring vehicle, and Indiana Jones is an action character.
Yeah.
You really want geriatric Harrison Ford running around?
No, he's gonna have to hide in a lot of fridges to survive that movie.
But I mean, these same complaints are said about Stallone. I mean, he's like 60. He can't box. I mean, that's not believable. He's got a box in this movie.
But he didn't have to go the whole movie, you know what I mean? Like, Indiana Jones is going to be running around that whole freaking movie, you'd think.
I don't know, I mean, once again, I'm not saying I don't expect it to be anyway good, but I'd at least want to see what it's about before I judge it. I'll put it that way.
It would be something interesting to see regardless whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Go for it.
I mean, it's looking more like they're going to be doing the reboot strategy. It's looking like. I don't think they're going to do remake, because that'd just be weird.
That would just be weird.
Because really looking for the Ark of the Covenant, I don't think that would work with a modern.
It would play well, yeah.
Yeah,
well, I don't know.
I mean, you look how people, when Noah came out, all of these people went out and were picketing that movie because it got some minor details wrong, and it's like, seriously, it's a movie, guys. It's a movie.
Well, I don't think that would be the reason why they wouldn't do it. I think the reason they wouldn't do the Ark of the Covenant or any of the movies, like whether it's Temple of Doom or Last Crusade, is because those movies were great, and everything they would do in the remake would be compared, to these great movies. You'd have such a high standard. I think that's the reason they would stay away from doing it, not because of any of the content whatsoever that it wouldn't play. It's just been done before, and when you've got that high of a bar to try to cross,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think if I was a studio, smart money, like to me, the only way you do it is a reboot.
Yeah.
Completely new adventures, new cast, new everything. I wouldn't even have Harrison Ford in a guest star role in the back, because like sometimes we'll do that kind of garbage.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, let's just wash our hands of the past, let it rest, start all over.
Yeah.
And I've always thought the video game Atlantis, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.
Yeah.
If you adapted that, I mean, because that game was great, and if you took that as just kind of a skeleton arc of how you could do an indie story, that could be a lot of fun. So there are other ideas out there of adventures Indiana Jones could go on, and I agree. I don't think, as far as time period, I don't think contemporary time would work.
It just doesn't. It doesn't work.
You could make it work. You had to write it differently, though. I mean, we do have archaeologists today.
True.
I mean, it's not like that profession's completely gone.
Dead.
Oh, no, I don't know. I think there could be some really cool stuff that we haven't seen before in an indie movie. Like if there was kind of an Egyptian themed indie movie where he's looking for some Egyptian artifact or something, and you kind of
Yeah, but isn't that just then the
Raiders.
Mummy?
Nah, I mean it depends on how you write it though too, right? Like just because someone else used that setting does not necessarily mean that you can't make a good indie movie in that either. And it depends how supernatural you get. I mean, Mummy was just incredibly, mummies running around and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're getting on the lines of like the Crystal Skull at that point, to a point.
Not necessarily. I'm not saying aliens whatsoever.
Who else created the pyramids? James?
Yeah.
The Egyptians.
Obvious.
That's where my money is. I think the Egyptians did it.
The Egyptian aliens, right.
If Stargate has taught us anything.
Where do you think the Egyptians went? Back to space.
Through the Stargate, bro.
Yeah.
If James Spader has taught us anything, it's that there are pyramid building aliens and that he voices the hell out of robots.
Those are the two things he's taught us. All right. Wow.
And even he couldn't save The Office. So there you go.
Yeah. No, but there's just a lot of cool things that you could do with the Indiana Jones character in a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
That take him to places he hasn't been before. Maybe China. Japan. For ancient artifact stuff. I know we saw a little bit of that in Temple of Doom, but that was the very beginning.
Yeah.
He needs a. They need to bring back Short Round.
No, they don't.
For sure. Come on.
No, they don't. He's like
strong bridge, Indy. Strong bridge.
He's the Jar Jar of the.
He really is. But come on.
No, Kate Capshaw was Jar Jar.
Hey, the only reason I'm in this movie is because my
Yeah.
husband directed it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, future husband. They weren't
Oh, they weren't. Wow, that's why she married him then.
like 10 years
That
later.
was in her contract. If 10 years from now you're not married, I'll put you in this movie. But if 10 years from now you're not married, we're getting married. We're getting hitched.
Yikes. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I will say-
Moving on.
Yeah, looking back, Short Round wasn't that bad, at least compared to the Willie character, because Kate Capshaw was unbearable.
Yeah, they were both pretty unbearable to me.
That was definitely a low point in the Indiana Jones series.
It was. There's a lot of people who love Temple of Doom, but I just have never been able to stomach it.
Technically speaking, that was Lucasfilm's first prequel.
Yeah, because it technically took place before Raiders.
God, that guy's such a dick.
Whenever Lucas is involved with a prequel, it just does not go down well with the fans.
No,
it
it
seems.
doesn't. That was.
Let's just be honest. Whenever Lucas is involved with anything post Star Wars,
I think Lucas just got
Not
lucky.
a fan of Howard the Duck.
I think Lucas just got lucky with the 2 of the 3 Indiana Jones movies that he was involved with as a producer.
What do producers do, really? What did they produce? Money for the movie?
They handle the money, technically.
Well, and they technically were also the head writers, basically.
Yeah, they can make a lot of creative decisions. Which, if Indiana Jones 4 taught us anything.
Bad idea.
All right, so that's pretty much all I have to say about Indiana Jones. I don't know. Well, I guess there's one last thing. There's been rumors running around that Chris Pratt would be the one to play Indiana Jones. Or at least there's a lot of people who want him to.
A bit on the nose. I don't know.
Right?
I would go for Bradley Cooper myself, but.
Oh yeah, it's like if. Well, that's the thing. If you could somehow combine those two, that would kind of be perfect.
Like kind of mutant offspring.
Combine their DNA into.
I guess they're kind of similar. I was gonna say like maybe Pratt's like more the comical character, but like Bradley Cooper from The Hangover and like Wedding Crashers and stuff. I guess he knows how to do that too. He's just been doing a lot more serious stuff lately, but.
Which shows he has range.
Yeah.
That he can do that kind of
He's
stuff.
not a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be really upset about either one of those choices. I think I'm picturing Pratt from like these Jurassic World trailers because I'm already seeing him in kind of the Indiana Jones kind of gear.
Yeah.
And kind of Guardians of the Galaxy too.
Would his Raptor army be with him?
Well,
because.
Duh.
Let's not start
the
that.
Egyptian Raptor Army. Come on.
Yeah, that'd be a great metal band name.
The Egyptian Raptor Army. You just have a guy in the background. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh man. Well, with that being said, let's move on to our second topic before we get too far off base.
Yeah.
So. They also announced, LucasFilm also announced their next spin-off film, which should be coming out in 2017? No, 2018. It would be 2018.
I think, yeah.
Sure. I believe that's...
who knows?
Is where they've got it penciled in. And it will be based on Boba Fett.
I called it.
Apparently this will take place between episodes 3 and 4, although we're not sure exactly where... how far between, because there's 20 years between 3 and 4.
Well, yeah, so they're saying that he survived the Sarlacc, right?
No, because that's episode 6. So 3 and 4.
Oh.
So we're going to get I don't know how close to 4 or how...
What a punk way to go out, though, eaten by the Sarlacc.
With that extended universe going out, that is his canonical death now. Because in the books, he got out of there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he survived.
But now, all these... fanboys internet have to come to terms with that this idol of theirs got killed by a giant hole in the ground.
Unless they decide to retcon that.
After it ate him.
Yeah, unless they decide to retcon that and go with the EU again, because you never know what Disney's going to do. Especially if the Boba Fett movie is successful, wildly successful, I bet you they would go with the EU ending. They would tape a stinger at the end of the trailer or something to flash forward to, and then have him survive or something.
How he survives in the books is so lame though. They would almost have to change it.
Yeah, but
he pulls himself up.
They'll do something to make that happen. I can almost guarantee it. If the money is there, they'll do it. And then the fanboys would go wild and,
I just am not a fan of Boba Fett. I kind of like him, but not nearly as much as everybody online.
I just don't get where it all comes from.
I think he's in
the movie for 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, he's got a cool look to him. And I think that's where a lot of it comes from. He just looks cool.
Yeah.
Kind of like Vader. People liked the look of Vader. No matter. Even if you didn't have James Earl Jones doing the voice work, people think Darth Vader just looks cool, right? Boba Fett's in that same line, and Jeremy McCulloch, Jeremy Bulloch, did the voice for him originally until they. In the Blu-ray special edition, they changed that with even worse voice acting. Well, not even more, but terrible voice acting, because the original voice acting was actually really well done.
Yeah.
And for how little he's on screen, the way that the lines are said is very, very good, and actually adds a little more depth than you would even think there is to that character, for how little he's on screen. So I give Jeremy Bulloch credit for that, and it's a shame that his dialogue got taken away. In the Blu-ray releases. Which, again, all the more reason, please, Lucasfilm release the original theatrical cuts.
Oh God.
Please be working on that.
Can they do that now?
There's rumors out there that they are working on that, but there's no confirmation whatsoever that that's actually happening.
I would assume that Lucas burned those in some sort of incinerator.
Well, Disney has made the statement that it is possible. I know they've made this statement that is possible for that to happen. It's just they haven't committed to whether or not they're actually doing that or they have any plans to. And
I think they would make a crap load of money from people who
the rumor
haven't bought it on anything up until this point because they've been religiously not.
The rumor is that this holiday season they'll be putting it out.
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Right before episode 7.
I'm sad that I didn't buy it when it was included on the DVD release or whatever, where he kind of stuck them in there.
The only downside is not anamorphic.
Yeah, that's
which
why
sucked.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a really good transfer.
Yeah.
I think
because he didn't care.
Yeah, the rumor here is that they would be anamorphic.
Yeah.
They'd restore it, and it would look as good as it possibly could get.
That would be fantastic
if they're doing it.
And such a slap in the face of that frickin' mook. Oh. God, that would be awesome.
No, it would be awesome, and I hope that's true. I don't know if it's true. There's been question of distribution rights because Fox apparently owns the distribution rights to the first Star Wars: New Hope forever.
Yeah.
And then Empire and Return of the Jedi don't revert to Disney technically for till 2020 or something like that. I mean, it's out there. And they'll eventually get distribution rights to those films. So some sort of deal would need to be worked out with Fox if it already hasn't been for that restoration to actually even get released. Disney can work on it all they want, but they couldn't put it out unless Fox gave the green light. But I think Fox would be stupid to not give the green light.
They would make so much money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, and again, that would be yet another sign to the fans that this is going back to its roots if they're going to go to all that trouble.
So many people would be clamoring for that. It would be silly for them not to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they would.
Absolutely. While we're on that track, one little tiny piece of episode 7 news that I want to throw in. J.J. Abrams was being interviewed by, I believe, Vanity Fair, and he made a statement that he was seriously considering putting an Easter egg into The Force Awakens of Jar Jar's bones being in the desert, which I thought that was actually pretty hilarious. And yet another nod. If I guess he's still deciding on that, but I'm assuming that since he's come out and publicly said he's probably leaning towards not doing that, because otherwise, what's the point of an Easter egg that you've already announced?
Yeah, probably just being silly.
Yeah, but he said he was being serious when he said that. He goes, "I'm serious," because I guess the other person started laughing. He's like, "I'm serious. I was actually considering doing that." And he said only 3 people would notice it, but they'd all find it, hilarious. They'd love it, So, I actually gave that high marks. I was like, right on.
I just hope that's not a sign this movie's just going to be filled with references to previous movies and stuff.
Well, no, that's not like a reference to be like. That's just like.
That's the thumbing of the nose at
Lucas and kind of just a quick head nod to fans who notice it.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Spock screaming Khan.
Yeah.
So.
It's not as bad as most of Into Darkness, but still.
So I'd be high. That's a reference I can definitely get behind. So we'll see if that actually happens. But again, just the attitude tells me a lot. And so yeah. But Boba Fett film.
Whatever.
My thoughts are, I don't know what to think. After Lucas made the lame Boba Fett origin story in the prequels, I find it even harder to care for Boba Fett, that he's just a clone of another guy. There are rumors, and I am assuming they are only rumors because this sounds too good to be true.
Wait, so the kid in that wasn't Boba Fett, or that was Boba Fett?
That was. He's the clone of Jango Fett, was the story.
Oh.
He probably fell asleep during that part, which I don't waiting for. But that
Django requested an unaltered clone of himself that doesn't have that rapid aging thing.
And
so
Boba Fett.
Stupid.
Which is why they changed Boba's voice in episode 5.
Oh God! Wow.
to be the voice of the guy who played Jango Fett. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. See, now you
I
understand.
didn't even know that. And
Yes.
I was much happier when I didn't know that.
Now you do.
And now I hate you both.
Well, you
Yeah.
direct your anger
That-
towards Lucas because he's the one who made that decision.
Now you can see why I was so raged out about that when we talked about that before.
Yeah. So with that, you know, I have a hard time caring for a Boba Fett prequel. There are rumors out there that are a little hard to believe, but I want to believe them. That the story is along the lines of the Boba Fett clone gets killed early on in this movie, and someone else just takes his identity.
That would be awesome.
And if they're redoing the Star Wars movies back to the original, then that would even explain it more, because then we get the original voice back, and it could just be the guy who assumed, well, you know, he's not really Boba Fett, but that would be the ultimate twist too, of just like right early in the movie, you think you're following this character along, and then boom, you just taken out like a chump.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably not real,
yeah,
No.
the movie's probably not even written yet.
but you know. Anyway, so what are you guys' thoughts on Boba Fett prequel, spin-off, whatever?
I don't know, like I really have like no opinion on that. Like I've never really understood the whole Boba Fett like fascination, I guess, which I kind of mentioned earlier. But
Star Wars Boba Fett fanboys, you can direct your hate mail over here to John Hess. I'd be
I'm
happy
not
to take
saying that I don't necessarily agree with you,
He hates him.
but I do hate him. No, I don't. I don't know. Yeah, like I just it could be really interesting because they could honestly take it anywhere, because there's not really. I mean, there's not really I'm saying there's not really a story, which is obviously not true, because I'm sure there's a lot of story there. I just don't know it, but I don't think a lot of people would know it.
Mhm.
So I think they could kind of go wherever they wanted to, but that would probably upset a lot of people or certain people.
I
But
don't know.
It could be like a Mission Impossible movie in the Star Wars universe.
it could really be
basically.
anything. Yeah.
Because it's going to be post movies, probably closer to episode 4, I would think, than episode 3, is where they're going to probably throw it in. So they can get a little bit of an older Boba Fett, someone maybe around the age of 18 or so, to play the
They
role.
probably want to get him before he gets the armor so that they can show off the actor's face, because
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be paying that actor a lot of money,
Yeah.
and they don't want to cover his face the entire movie, obviously.
Or he would just have his mask off a lot. I don't
Yeah.
think they could change the armor because they got to make it the same as it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Either way, he's not going to have that helmet on for most of the
No.
movie, so...
Probably not.
Just out when he's doing his bounty hunter thing, and you'll probably see a lot of private moments with him with the helmet off or whatever. Like he's
In the shower.
Still has the armor on,
Yeah.
but
he's showering. He's got the
the
It's
rocket pack.
It's just on his face, and he's like, just you can tell he's had a hard day. He's like, his palms are up against the wall, and then it pans down, and he still has all the armor. There's like rust and sand going into the drain.
You just hear the pinging of the water hitting the armor. You know, you don't see it at first. You're like, what is that sound?
What is that? Oh my god. We are so nerdy.
We need to be the writers of the Boba Fett spin-off. we need to petition.
Yeah, and
for
it's
that.
some sort of weird teen comedy. I guess.
Hey, you know,
Boba Fett's about to have a really hard day.
he's on a collision course with wackiness.
Rob Schneider as Boba Fett.
That's a nightmare. But we can make it.
Oh! Ping ping! Wow, yeah.
Co-starring Jim Carrey.
Wow. Tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, yes, they could go anywhere with that movie, so
Excellent.
for me, it could be really good. I don't know. It could honestly go wherever for me, and I wouldn't care because I don't know the story behind it. As long as the story is good and it's entertaining, I would probably enjoy it because it's Star Wars related. So, yeah, I mean, it could just become a complete cluster of crazy, and especially if they try to tie in too much, you know, or like bring in too much familiar stuff, and then you're like, then it just becomes like you were talking about earlier, like too much throwback to. For episode 7, you know, like too much throwback.
All of a sudden, there's a young Han running around or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and there very well could be because if it's between 3 and 4.
Yeah,
or he hears about the Sarlacc and he's like, "Oh, only an idiot would fall into that thing."
Just silly references, or I don't know, but. I mean, this is pretty much just kind of a pipe dream right now, isn't it? Or I mean, is this actually legitimately
Oh no, that's legitimate happening.
books? It's going to happen.
Yep,
okay.
they have a script written.
Oh,
and
wow.
they're rolling with it. So they've got a director attached and everything. So this is official. Casting hasn't really begun yet.
Yeah,
but that's the next step. So
Chris Pratt is Boba Fett.
Let's just put Chris Pratt in every movie.
Might as well.
It's either him or Benedict Cumberbatch. They're in everything.
I think Jar Jar is going to come back in this movie. I think maybe he'll be Boba Fett's target.
We'll be right back. After I kill James.
No. Anyways, I don't know.
You're kind of.
I just don't care at all.
Yeah, you don't care.
I already got nothing on to say about this.
I mean, but if it was like an enjoyable movie, like, is there anything that they could do to like appease you, or
nothing can appease me.
You just wouldn't really care at all?
I mean, I'll probably wind up seeing it because
Star Wars.
Yeah, let's be honest, I'm gonna wind up seeing it. But I mean, I'll look forward to it as long as it looks fun. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
As long as they don't try to make this like a really grim, dark Star Wars movie, which is probably what they're gonna try to do.
Honestly, because he's a bounty hunter, I think they would almost have to a point, because his role in all the Star Wars movies is a pretty ominous one.
Yeah.
I don't know the prequels. Let's just pretend those never existed. But like when he's in the original trilogy, like he's in an ominous role.
I can guarantee you, he's gonna disintegrate someone.
I was just about to say,
movie, because of Vader's line, "No disintegrations." We're gonna find out what that means in this movie. I can almost guarantee you. That's gonna be one thing we're gonna see.
What are the odds? This movie's all about Vader hiring him to go after someone, and he disintegrates him or
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if that's a
and
part
then he gets
of
in
movie?
trouble?
Yeah.
With Darth Vader.
He has to go. He has to go home to Dad.
And that's the other thing.
Vader's gonna punish me
because they almost have to like.
The thing is, I just don't think that grim dark really works with Star Wars. You know, that's just my personal opinion. Hopefully they'll prove me wrong.
Yeah.
But whenever they've tried to go for that in the past, it hasn't really worked.
They certainly didn't do that in the prequels.
Yeah. I mean,
they went for
even Empire Strikes Back. I mean, that's the darkest of the original trilogy, and that really wasn't depressing or anything. I mean, it still had its levity.
They went dark with it, and it was like basically the best of the trilogy, though, too. So,
but they didn't go overboard with it, which is what I worry about in the Boba Fett movie.
And I think they won't go overboard. I think Disney is pretty concentrated on trying to make these films the best that they can and capture the original spirit. At least that's what I've been getting so far from everything I've seen. That's what they're trying to do here. And the fact that there are reports that they're struggling with this script is actually a good thing to me, because it shows that they care enough about trying to get it right. That they're not just going to take any script and that if it's super dark or whatever, that they're just going to throw it out there. So, I mean, I don't know. I think there's a chance that this thing could be good. It's just, where are they going with it? What timeline does it take place with? I'm going to be really interested to see what the synopsis for this movie is going to be, because that is really going to dictate whether or not I'm going to be truly excited for this film.